Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back with Leigh Lincoln. That's LeighLincolnAuthor.com, and she is the author of the Broken Road series and so much more. Let me have her introduce herself. Hello.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Great to have you back here. For new time listeners, tell us a little about yourself. You as an author, and looking forward to today's conversation.
Yeah, I'm Leigh Lincoln. I'm the author of 4 inspirational novels. Each novel takes you on a spiritual, emotional, and physical journey of each character as they journey along life.
Aw, perfect. Well, love to hear more about your work. I know we're going to do some readings. Also, just tell us your website.
My website is LeighLincolnAuthor.com. That's Leigh, LincolnAuthor.com.
Perfect.
And you can also reach me on Facebook, Leigh Lincoln Author. Super easy to find me.
Awesome. Now, what did you have in mind for our audience today?
Well, I was going to read a little section from my first book, Road Home. It's still my favorite book, even though it is my first. So, yeah, I'm going to read a little section from that today.
Perfect.
As we walked from the park, I'd gotten a good look around the area. Calling it a neighborhood, not a garbage pile, would have been a stretch. The place consisted of many small houses crowded close together. There seemed to be some sort of ongoing contest to see who would let their home decay the fastest. Or maybe it was who had the most colorful or artistic display of junk. On those homes that had paint, the paint was peeling. Chunks were missing from those that were stucco. The houses were, for the most part, earth-toned colors. My guess was that the original plan was to blend in with the desert landscape. However, that had failed in a spectacular fashion, thanks to what the residents had added. Many homes needed roof repairs. You could see where clay tiles or shingles were missing. The few porches were unusable because they were piled with junk. Not your typical junk, mind you, but broken furniture placed in almost artistic heaps. Small objects such as toys, toasters, and broken pottery were crammed in almost every free inch of space between table or chair legs. Almost every house had a hulk of a car in the front yard that was at least 50 years old. Broken down and rusted hunks of metal, most were on blocks with kids playing in and around them. It was like they were the world's greatest jungle gyms. Since the park that we'd slept in had nothing for the kids to play on, I guess it made sense in a twisted, dangerous sort of way. There were refrigerators, washers, and other appliances in many yards. There were also plastic lawn decorations and ceramic Catholic saints, but no grass, only sand and dirt to run across. Every few houses, there was a tall, stately cactus, and these were standing like sentries over the whole place. Who or what they were guarding would be hard to say. Most houses had ropes attached to almost anything upright. Brightly colored laundry had already been hung for the day. The sheets and the clothing were snapping in the breeze. Whack, whack, whack. I had no clue how they were going to stay clean for long, with children running between each piece, kicking up dust as they went. Sun dancing on the sand as it was carried in the wind. Dogs were yapping. Some were chained to a stake in a particular yard, but most were just running free, chasing the children. Harsh smells of soap and cleaner mixed with the smells of breakfast being prepared. Spicy foods with rich and tangy aroma of onions, sausage, peppers. Smells so good you could taste them in the air. My mouth began to wander and I swallowed hard to keep from drooling, kicking myself that I didn't have anything to eat. Feeling angry when you have no right to isn't a good thing. It's not your food. You didn't work for it. Get over it, Cindy. Ignore your hunger. So, my first book is about a homeless woman who's just been wandering around hitchhiking, and clearly she's always hungry, which is why she kind of notices all the smells and everything. And so the reason why I wanted to share that passage is I often talk about what's called the slow slide into homelessness. And so, yeah, poverty is kind of one of my big things.
Well, what else did you want to share with us today?
Well, um, the slow slide into homelessness, as you can see from that, clearly, as I described in that scene, uh, what the slow slide into homelessness is people start out and they're doing pretty good, and then they hit what's called a bump, and uh, it can either be like a medical issue where all of a sudden they have like a problem where they have a heart attack or a sudden illness, and then they can't pay that bill, or their car breaks down and then they have a hard time getting to work, or they don't get the raise they're expecting, and then all of a sudden they have a hard time paying rent. And so one thing leads to another, and everything starts to spiral. And what it turns out to be, what they thought was a little problem, slowly snowballs, and it becomes a really big problem. And sometimes it can be as small as a relationship issue where the couple squabbles and then somebody gets kicked out of the house, and then all of a sudden you end up with this monster problem and you don't know how to fix it. And that's what we call the slow slide into homelessness, where you just don't know how to stop it, and you don't know how to fix things. And then you realize, oh, now I'm sleeping in my car that may or may not run. And this is something we talk about a lot when we talk about homelessness. And I see it a lot when I work with people who either are about to be evicted or about to lose their home for foreclosure, that they don't realize that they're a lobster in a pot. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Wow. And just for those that may not know of you yet, Leigh, your background, could you share why you started writing these books in this series?
Well, I wrote the first one accidentally. I didn't mean to. I'd been doing homeless and poverty advocacy for more than 30 years at that point. And I'd been at a community meeting, and the guy who was running it just kind of ignored me. He listened to everyone else, but not me. And I just went home and I was just so frustrated. I started journaling. And what started as journaling out my frustrations at some point flipped, and I
Mm-hmm.
started writing from the perspective of a homeless woman. And after several months, I looked at what I wrote and realized that I'd done this and that I
Yeah.
accidentally wrote a novel.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I figured, well, everybody's going to ignore it because everybody had been ignoring me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that wasn't the case. I went from
Yeah.
being ignored to being an expert almost overnight. And that's the power of words, though. They say the pen is mightier than the sword, right? Yes.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Oh.
And now I have this giant platform, and I'm helping to educate people not just about homelessness and poverty, but also about how all of us matter, and all of us have opinions and passions and a voice that we need to use, and we need to share what we have and what gifts we have, because all of us can make a difference. And whether it's making a difference for homelessness or poverty, I don't care what your passion is. Go use it. Go change the world.
Thank you. Beautiful. And did you want to read something else for today? What else did you have in mind?
Well, um, I've been talking a lot about being house poor lately, and some of the myths around homelessness. And one of the big myths I run into is everyone thinks that everyone's homeless because they're addicted or have mental health
Mm-hmm.
issues. And as I just shared, well, clearly that's not the case. And I was recently reading a survey um, that while, yes, there are a lot of people that have mental health issues and addiction issues that are homeless, that is actually not one of the driving factors, which I found
Mm-hmm.
really interesting, that we have this stigma and we have this association. And it led me to think about how many other things we have myths about. And we have
Yeah.
this, and we have these myths about, well, what drives people to become single parents, and we have these myths about so many things. And I really want to encourage people, if they think something, to question their beliefs and question why they think something. Is it based on reality, or is it based on just what they've heard or what they think they've heard?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is one of my big things, is stop, think, do you really know that to be true? And because in the case of homelessness, what happens, and again, they get in this spiral and they don't know how to get out of it. And so then they turn to drugs and
Yeah.
alcohol. It isn't what drove them there was the drugs and
It's
alcohol. It's what they turned to because they didn't know how to cope. And I'm not saying that that happens all of the time. I'm just saying it is not a precipitating factor. And so I was having this conversation the other day with someone, and she's like, "Oh, but I heard about these people who were shipping homelessness to other states." And I'm like, "Yeah, but again, that is a myth, not a reality. Yes, it may happen, but it's not a driving factor." Because like in California, they talk about this a lot in California. People ship homelessness to California because of the weather. And I'm like, is that a myth or is it a reality? And she's like, oh, it's a reality. And I'm like, okay, there's a new survey out. 9 out of 10 people who are homeless in California are from California. It's a myth. So, this is one of the things I want people to not just about homelessness, but about other things. There's a lot of other things we believe in America. And are they myths? Because you've just heard somebody repeat it 10 times on your social media feed, or is it a reality? And yeah, I want people to really stop and think about what they're saying and what they're sharing, and do they know where it comes from?
Well, thank you for having us. Thank Leigh Lincoln, author, Leigh, LincolnAuthor.com. Any other form of contact you want to share before we continue?
My Facebook page is also Leigh Lincoln Author, and you can reach out to me at my email, which is also leighllincolnauthor@gmail.com.
Perfect.
I'm super easy to find. I've kind of tagged it all together.
Uh-huh. Awesome. Thank you. And where are you now in the world? I know you travel a lot. Can I just, do you mind me asking?
I'm in Georgia still, so yeah.
Awesome. All right, good. What else did you want to share
Spending
with
that
us
the hot
today?
summer in Georgia, probably not a good idea.
Aw, awesome.
So a little bit about each book. So as I've shared, Road Home is about a homeless woman. Road to Freedom is about a man dying of cancer who tries to fix all his wrongs before he dies. Finding the Real Road is about a woman who has this really bad marriage, and after her divorce, she tries to figure out where she went wrong in life. And my newest one, The Road West, is about an elderly woman who almost had an affair when she was younger. And then that caused a whole bunch of ripple waves in everybody else's lives, and she had no idea. And then the one I'm working on right now, it will be a new series. And the first book in the series will be from the birth father's perspective, and all of his uh, issues surrounding him getting his girlfriend pregnant and then just leaving her, and his life afterwards.
Oh my gosh. Ooh,
And it will be coming out later this year.
awesome. That's exciting. And now how does it work with publishing and how do you do this all?
Um, I am self-published,
Mhm.
so I control almost everything. I do have a really good editor who tries her best to clean up my hot messes. And so when I hit the publish button, everything is controlled by me. I do all my pre-orders on my website, and so you need to follow me, sign up for my newsletter to know when everything is available and ready.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We are so excited about this. And what do you love most about being an author? And yeah, how does it work? It's exciting to say you're an author.
Yeah. One of the things I love the most is the fact that I am so involved in the whole process. So I get to connect with my readers and, I read their emails and I get to hear what they want from me. And to a point, I try to follow what they want and, adjust my stories a bit to what they want. And I just love that. And I love going to various places to do research for my book, Spain, all over the United States. I just love all the little nuances that I get to do because of it. And it just makes my life so much more fulfilling. I mean, Italy, Spain, all over America. Yeah, and like I say, connecting with my readers on such a deep level. I love all these wonderful emails I get from my readers and just that they're part of this journey with me. And it's just so awesome and fun to connect with them. So,
Yay. If someone is just tuning in and want to purchase the books, they could do that through the website. Do you offer autograph copies?
I do on my website. You just purchase it through the website and
Okay.
I sign it and mail it to you. And each one comes with a little gift. Nothing extraordinary, but it's just a little fun gift. And they're autographed and it's just so fun. And again, you can sign up for my newsletter on my website, and there's a little bit of information about the newest book on the website. And yeah, everything's on the website, and which is great.
Oh, wonderful. And, you know, as far as your work, is there any more that you wanted to read to share with us today? We still have 9 minutes in the show.
Um, I can read a little bit more.
Sure.
Um, so this is another part from Road Home, where she's trying to shop. And of course, she's homeless, so people are assuming she's shoplifting. Um, uh, the mall was easy enough to find as I went up the street. 2 blocks of houses, then voila, a giant out of the place glass and steel shopping center and a sea of black asphalt. I felt odd going in with the intent to buy items rather than to panhandle or find a fountain to troll for coins. When I did have a few dollars to spend, I went to dollar stores, discount stores, thrift stores, or yard sales. Never malls, and most definitely never super nice malls where the rich people might shop. Much to my dismay, this mall was as upscale as they come, so my less than perfect outfit stuck out like a sore thumb as I wandered from store to store, trying to figure out where the best place to make my purchases wasn't going to be easy. Here I was in my rather dirty second best outfit, jeans that had holes so big in the knees I probably could have made cut-ups out of them without scissors. My t-shirt that was several sizes too large, plus had a huge bleach stain on the front. My worn coat so faded, who knew what the original color had been? While all around me, women in designer outfits and high heels sparkled, the click-clack on the tile floor echoing in an open space. If you're listening closely, you could hear it calling out to me, "You're not worthy." Even the babies were dressed to impress as they lay in their strollers. Wanting to cry and say, "Forget it," I knew that I couldn't. I had to complete this task and stick to my goal for once in my life. Failure wasn't an option, well, for today at least. Swallowing hard, I had to face the terror that was this mall.
Mm.
Shop clerks kept an eagle eye on me to make sure I wasn't going to rob them blind, peppered with the phrases like, "Please don't touch the merchandise," or "Maybe this isn't the best store for you." Like there's an ideal store for homeless people or something. Come to think of it, there is. The free clothes closets some churches have. Rage was replacing shame, then regret replaced rage. Then shame crept back over me like the ever present friend that it was. and I felt like I wanted to cry again. Do you get that feeling? Has anyone ever looked at you like a thief for simply being there? It wasn't like this. It wasn't like me to be so bothered like this. Yet today I wanted to find the nearest dumpster and throw myself into it. Save these people the trouble of having to. Yeah, I know how foolish this sounds. Homeless people sleep beside the dumpster, not in it. Got it.
Mm.
And that was a feeling I heard a lot from homeless people when I worked with them, that they just didn't feel worthy of even being in the same space as quote unquote normal people. But there's no such thing as normal. What's normal to me may not be normal to you. Your experience is not mine.
Mm-hmm. So true.
And yeah. And this is why I like to sit down and have a conversation with people. I don't care who you are or where you're from. I want to hear your story. I want to hear where you've been. I want to hear why you are where you are. And I don't care if you're sleeping under a bench or in the biggest McMansion on the planet. You have a story. You have a reason for being here. You are worthy because you're breathing.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully said. Well, makes everyone feel good, and it's good to have some positivity in our world. And a lot of us deal with so much, especially after the pandemic, with our anxiety, with our stress. My heart goes out. But at the same time, we could always wake up each and every day. Do you meditate, or how do you focus?
I focus mostly by listening to relaxing music. I often listen to music while I write. Um, I also take long walks or go for a kayak ride, get out in nature and just breathe and
Mm-hmm.
take a moment to myself. I find that just very relaxing. The other night it rained really hard and it was just beautiful just to sit outside and listen to the rain. Just taking those moments just to be and not do anything, just to sit still. And I think a lot of people don't do that anymore. We're so busy, we're so wrapped up in the world. And I think part of the reason I am able to do that is because I've spent so much time in Europe. And anybody who's ever been to Europe understands this concept where they don't rush you out of a restaurant. You can sit at on the patio of a restaurant in Europe for 6 hours and nobody is going to kick you out. Unlike in America, you sit there for more than 20 minutes, they're looking at you like, go, go,
Yeah.
go. Right. Yes. No, in Europe, you can sit on a patio and just people watch and just
Yeah.
nobody
So
cares.
true. Ah,
And so yeah, and this is one thing we need to learn in America is just to slow down and breathe and just enjoy the moment. And I'm getting I and this really helps me with my writing so much is enjoying the moment. And I'm trying to really put these moments in my books and be intentional with them and I help people see these moments of just people watching and just enjoying what's around you and what's going on.
oh. Well, thank you for being here again. LeighlIncolnAuthor.com. You can reach her there. Any other form of contact you want to share before we go?
Again, you can find my Facebook page, Leigh Lincoln Author, or you can reach out to me at my Gmail, which is LeighlIncolnAuthor@gmail. So
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. What do you have planned? Anything exciting?
uh, I think it's going to rain today, so I'm going to sit outside if it does.
Awesome. Enjoy it. Good. Well, thank you so much for being here. You have a great day, and we'll talk hopefully next week or the week
Yes.
after. I think I might be away next week.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.